Today, I'm going to unbox and take a quick look at Quartermaster General 1914. This is from Ian Brody. It is a fast-paced World War I strategy game. It's published by Ares Games, and I believe this is the second edition of this, or maybe second printing of this. Quartermaster General has several iterations. It has a kind of a modern day iteration. It has a World War II, and this is, as by the date there, 1914, this is World War I. Now, all the Quartermaster General systems have is just that. It is a system, and they have common gameplay mechanics. Quartermaster General is a little bit different type of war game. It is definitely strategic and operational. If that's probably the closest it gets to. That's probably the lowest scale it gets into, but it's really more of a strategic game. But it really is dealing with a kind of a hand management system. There is a board. There are units that you place on the board, but a lot of what you can do or can't do is dependent upon the cards in your hand and in playing those cards. And it has kind of an interesting mechanic on how you kind of have to plan, ahead of time on what cards are going to be available and how you're going to use them. The cards do have some multi-use effect. I mean, you can, sometimes if you need to find a card, you can discard some cards to get that, but you're whittling down your time and your opportunities, because when you discard cards, you don't have those, and if you run out of your deck, you run out of options, and so you're going to be somewhat limited. Anyway, enough of all that. I'll probably, once I get this to the table, I'll do some gameplay or an after-action report on it. But most of my experience with this game or this series has been, seeing others' content on it and trying to figure out what's it all about. I finally decided to pick this up just because I found it not really, it doesn't really fit into Kilroy's bargains, but it was a good enough price that I wanted to try this system out. You know me, I like different perspectives and different takes on how conflict is simulated, and this one looked like a different take. It looks a little bit more abstract. It looks a little bit more some Euro type feel or Euro mechanics to it, and to me it really looks like kind of a somewhat of I know this is going to sound weird, but a modern day diplomacy. Now there's cards involved with this. It's, diplomacy, of course, was pre-World War I, and is all about, negotiation and backstabbing and ruining friendships and the like. And there's really no randomness to it. It's all, negotiating your orders and then writing down your orders and then revealing and see what happens with them. But since they're both World War I, that has a feel. The way that you kind of play out your hand or plan out what you're going to use your cards for kind of has that feel of planning out your orders. There's not a ton of units on this board. That's very similar to diplomacy. So even though it's totally different mechanic, to me it has some of that feel of if diplomacy was converted into kind of a Euro game, that's what this would feel like. Anyway, here's the back of the box. And of course, your mileage may vary, and you might think that I'm totally full of it, which, I very well might be. So feel free to put that in the comments. So here's your cards, here's your units, here's the board. Let's read a little bit here. Quartermaster General 1914 is a fast-paced game that pits the Central Powers of Germany, Austria-Hungary, and the Ottoman Empire against the Entente Powers of Russia, France, Italy, the United Kingdom, and the United States. Based on the popular Quartermaster General system, this card-driven wargame reflects the military, economic, and political intrigue of the time. Simple mechanics belie the challenges decision-making offered by the system. Spend your time playing instead of learning the rules. Each power has its own unique deck of cards with its own strengths and strategies, providing strong replayability as you will try your hand at playing the different powers. Quartermaster General's 1914 allows you to experience the rich history of World War I without the trench foot. So a little bit of humor there. That's another thing too. This plays relatively fast. I mean, your turns you kind of have limited is based on what you have in your hand and planning what's going ahead. So it looks like it plays relatively fast. Now there might be some analysis paralysis, but you know, who doesn't have that in any war game? Anyway, let's get in the box and see what we have inside here. And if any of you have played this game or any of the Quartermaster General games, feel free to chime in the comments down below and let us know what your thoughts are on any of these. There's a box, got a nice square box, you know, decent thickness. I imagine everything's going to fit nicely back in the box. Here's an Ares catalog. There's some stuff there. Here's all the Quartermaster General stuff. As you can see, it's quite a system. Here are the rules. Looks like we have a little bit of a player chart on the back. That's nice. Power and country profiles. Looks like the rules themselves are 23 pages long. So let's take a look at them. There's a little bit smaller booklet here, glossy, full color. Got your contents, your components, player and a power assignment. So you can play this up to, I guess, 5 players. If you're playing, see, 2 players, here is who's going to be playing the different forces. 3 players, 4 players, and 5 players. So if you play 5 players, you got somebody playing Austria-Hungary and Hungary and Ottoman Empire, then somebody playing Russia, somebody playing Germany, somebody playing France and Italy, and somebody playing United Kingdom and United States. So that's how that's going to play out. So you got 1 to 5 players there. Downside to this system is I don't think it really solos very well. I don't know if there's a solo. I don't think you even have a solo bot in them. Maybe somebody's come up with some solo rules. But it really is a card play game or a card game where you're kind of trying to figure out what the other side's going to do and how they're using their cards. So anyway, so you got some hidden information there. Here's the game board explaining you got land spaces with clear. You have 2 types of terrain, clear and difficult. You've got sea space, you got neutral space, you got home spaces, you got objectives. And that's the key to the game, is getting these objectives, because you get victory points from them. And then you have a victory point track around the side or around the border. Here's setup. Here's a card. Here's an example of a card. So you see right there. And then it's got some multi-uses. You might have an event or a ability that you use, and then you might have these symbols that do different things as well. Okay. And supply is very big. That's why I said this is, you know, kind of at the lowest level is probably operational, because you get into supply a lot, but this is really kind of a strategic level game here. Here's your turn sequence, draft. May, and the emphasis here is on may. You don't have to do some of these things. You may draft a build army or build navy card. You can play step. You can do the attrition step. Prepare. Well, you may discard. So you have draft, play, attrition, prepare, and draw. That is your turn sequence. So not quite, not a lot there. So that's why this plays relatively fast. Here's your draft step. Here's your play step. Here are your different card types. As you can see here, there's build an army, build a navy, and you know, if you don't have those cards, you can't do that. So that's one of the things that you're kind of limited in your hand, and you know, it's really important to build those up in the beginning, and you might need to find those in your deck. You've got land battle, sea battle, events, economic warfare, status. So again, this is strategic level, so you're getting economic, supply, political, and military. You're getting a lot of different perspectives on the different aspects of World War I. Here's the attrition step. Here's the prepare step. Here's the prepare symbols. This is that part. The preparing is that part of the game where you can play a card face down in front of you to say that, well, I want to use that, or I want to have that available in the event of what my opponent might do. So you might want to have like these shield symbols will let you kind of defend, and you might make the other side waste an attack. You need to have these, if you're trying to attack, you might need to have these arrows so that you can, cancel out those shield symbols so that you can go forward with your attack. So there's again, there's a little bit of trying to figure out what your other side's going to do, maybe bluffing, maybe just trying to use what you have in your hand. You might be limited in those circumstances. So there's a lot of different decision space in this game. And you got some of the same kind of symbols for the Navy. This is for Army, this is for Navy. So again, that prepare step is kind of a unique approach. And again, kind of reminds me a little bit, again, of diplomacy, because you're trying to figure out your orders and what they're going to be. And that's kind of like writing your orders down. You're putting these cards down in front of you to hopefully be available for the next turn or when to counter your opponent's actions. Here's the draw step. Here's discarding cards, because you can discard cards to get cards, but I think it's like a 2-to-1 ratio sometimes, so you're going to be you're going to be a net down some cards overall. Here's battling. There's some complex cards. Here's battle. Here's resolving battles. Again, those symbols kind of come into play there. Scoring and victory. And here's an extended example of play in here. So that's nice. Kind of goes over how you play the game. So there be the rules. So we have these player cards here. These are thick little booklets here. They're single fold out here. Here's your pieces and card distribution, your prepare symbols distribution for each one of the countries. Says everything is somewhat asymmetrical, so that not each of the countries or factions have the same cards. Here's your order of play, your turn sequence, and your player power assignments, your setup, the different powers, showing the units, but then this is the card distribution, because at its heart, this is a card game, and there's your distribution. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 of those, because you can play up to 5 players. There's that. Here are some counters. Now, some of these, like these objective counters or these stars, there are some cards that allow you to put these on the board. There's some places that have stars already, and those are objectives. That's how you get victory points. But there might be cards that allow these to go on the board and make that area more valuable now. So you get a few counters there, and they're decent stock. They're thick stock. Let's pull out the board. We'll take a look at that in a second. Ooh, look at all the bits. So we've got some white bits. And so you've got some soldiers and some ships there. So this is probably Austria-Hungary. Got red and brown, or a little bit of black there. Gray. 2 types of blue. And then you have green and tan, or kind of a off tan, maybe almost like a mustard there. Anyway, so those are your bits for the game. Then we got lots of cards, because as I said before, this is a card game at its heart. So let's take a look at some of those here. And again, if I'm butchering the rules or how to play this, I mean, feel free to chime in. This was not meant to be a how to play video, since I have not played this game yet. So, but I'm just trying to give you a little bit of overview of what I understand. And if I understand incorrectly, well, by all means, correct me. Here we go. Just be civil about it. Be nice. Be nice. All right. Here we go. Got some cards here. Here's the Austria-Hungary Ottoman Empire deck. Good thickness. I mean, they're typical type cards. Not flimsy, not overly stiff either. So And I don't think there's a linen finish on this. I think they're just a regular glossy card. So you got your build the army cards. This is for Austria-Hungary. Build army for Ottoman, events, land battles, status. So all those ones we saw before, those are your typical cards. So that's for the Austria, Hungary, and Ottomans. Then we have Russia. Russia might be wide. Yeah, maybe this is, I don't know. I gotta go look at the back of that book to figure out who's who, right? Or maybe it's in here. So, yeah, so Germany looks gray. Austria-Hungary looks like it's the burgundy. Russia's white. France is dark blue. Britain is green. And, I wonder if the United States like dark green, maybe. Anyway, so here's Russia. They have their own deck here. So they have a pretty good-sized deck for a country that bails out of the war at some point. Then we have, this is France and Italy. Good sized deck there. And you have France and then you have Italy. So you're going to probably have to use the specific card for that build. The build for Italy will have to require a Build Italy card. So there's that. Then we got, this is Germany. Germany looks like it's got the biggest deck, which should not be a surprise to anybody. Static cleaning on the paper there, so nice sizes deck there. Well, they got a lot of stuff going on there. A lot of economic warfare too. So you have that. Then this is United Kingdom and United States. There we go. So there are your 5 powers. I like the art. You know, it's not too cartoonish, but it's not like straight historical. I mean, it's not. I don't know. I kind of like that art on these. Here we go. There are the cards. So what do we have left? We have the map. Let's take a look at this map here. As I clear all my trash out of the way. Let's see where we're at here with the map. Might have to go up Periscope on this. So we've got it's a pair of pants map, as you can see here. Doop, doop, doop. And here we go. Let's go up a little bit on this here. Sorry for the glare there. Let's do this. There is the map. So you've got your victory point track around the edge. You've got your order of play. Kind of cool. It's a mounted map, of course. You have your rounds here. And this is probably the round. The chevron here is probably your round marker here. So it looks like you're going to have scoring on in between the 3rd and the 4th, the 7th, 8th, 11th, and 12th, 15th, 16th, and then at the end. And then we have, it's a nice looking map. So you got some neutral areas you can't go into. Then you've got some home areas. Then you have all these stars, which are victory point. And then there might be some cards that put some more of these on the board here. So there you have it. That is Quartermaster General 1914. I like the look of it. I mean, to me, it doesn't look overly complex. It looks like something that really that looks like it plays relatively quickly, but still gives you a feel for the conflict and gives you a different perspective on the conflict, which is what I'm all about. But there you have it. That is Quartermaster General, 1914. Love to know your thoughts on it, whether you've played it or not. If you played it, love to know your thoughts. If you played any of the series, love to know your thoughts. And if you have not, you're not familiar with this at all, what's your initial impressions after looking at this and having me butcher the rules? Anyway, thanks all for stopping by. Take care. Thanks for watching.